Okay, so our next speaker is going to share with you a pretty tough story. It's a story of loss from HCM, and I came to know Amy about a year and a half ago about that, when she called and said something's happened to my family. Amy, will you come up and tell us what happened?
So on February 15th, 2022, which is 2 years exactly today, my 17-year-old daughter, Jillian, and I, we walked into our family physician's office for her well-child check. And while we were there, the doctor put her stethoscope onto Jill's chest, and she turned to me and she said, "When did Jill get this heart murmur?" And so that appointment led to us going to see a pediatric cardiologist in Des Moines. And from there, we had the diagnosis of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. And those were severe and obstructed. They were still lingering in the air when we were waking up in Omaha, Nebraska to see specialists 1 week later. She went ahead and did a battering of tests, and then on Thursday, April 21st, 2022, the doctors were able to come back and give us our very last test result, which was her genetic test that she was positive for the MYBPC3 gene, which connects her to HCM. She came home from school that day. We went ahead and made an arrangement to see them on Monday and kind of get a plan of action. She came home an hour and a half later after I hung up the phone with the doctor, and I told her what they discovered, and she said, "Okay, that's about what I expected." She ran up the stairs where she had a sudden cardiac arrest. I was able to get up to the stairs within a minute or two. There was a lady who lived across the street who actually sold AEDs, so I had an AED on her within 2 minutes. But unfortunately, our efforts, the efforts of the EMS and the hospital staff were not successful, and we lost Jillian that day. So, Jill was a very funny and outgoing girl. She loved music, she loved Harry Styles, he was her favorite. She loved art, she was really, really bad in algebra, and she wanted to be a designer one day. After Jill's death, it was like an explosion went off, and I started connecting dots within my family. And I talked to lots of families members of my paternal side, and I found out that we had a lot of similar heart problems. With the help of Omaha, we were able to get all of my siblings, all of my cousins tested, and we discovered that I had HCM, half my siblings had HCM, 25% of my cousins had HCM. And from then, many of us have ICDs and have had myectomies. We have also lost them. My brother has died in a surgery that was a valve surgery for an enlarged heart. My nephew has had 2 myectomies. My sister had a sudden cardiac arrest 5 months after my daughter died. And I just say that she died of a broken heart, since we're not ever sure exactly what it was. But my family is actually lucky because of Jillian, because she was our call to action. Because of her, my family has the power of knowledge to be able to fight against an invisible gene. But not all families are that lucky. But there is hope for them. Had there been big questions that were in place when I took all of my girls to their well-child checks that we were asked each time, so that in 2010 when my nephew had his first myectomy, or in 2015 when my brother had died on the surgical table from his HCM, maybe some of the doctors could have put it together that we needed to do a little bit more investigation. Or when my 91-year-old father, who had HCM, and that's how he went down too, he had a sudden cardiac arrest, but if he had gone into his Medicare first visit and was able to tell them that he had 7 siblings who died, all of cardiac arrests, maybe that would have been a trigger to have them look at us a little bit easier. If we had gotten the treatment earlier, I'm hoping, it would have been hopeful that she could have got diagnosed earlier, which would have led to earlier treatment, and maybe would have saved Jill's life. And lastly, I am a nurse in Iowa, and I work at a family practice clinic. It would take me 5 extra seconds of my day to ask these questions to a patient. And that would help save thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, and keep thousands of families intact and whole. I wish it wasn't me standing here, and I wish it wasn't my daughter. I wish it wasn't my family, and I wish it wasn't that I know the heartbreak that people go through. I wake up every day and I live a nightmare. But it is me, and it is my family, and it's my wish and my hope. And I wouldn't be standing here and none of you would be hearing my voice if it wasn't for the life of a girl named Jillian Blair, and she had HCM.
Her image back up there for a moment, and for anybody who's interested in learning a little bit more about Jillian's story, there is a page on the website for hcm.org where you can see some other fabulous pictures of this beautiful soul. So Amy, Michael, or Jillian's dad, where'd you go? There he is. They're in the audience today, coming all the way from Iowa, so thank you for taking the trip and can't help but get a little choked up every time I hear that story. It was so close to being able to save her life, and too late. So we can't have that happen. So I'm not going